Okay, so, you know, let's be real for a sec. We've all hit that point as parents, right? Where patience is, well, running a little thin.
Yeah, it's like universal parenting experience, am I right?
Totally. And it's funny because we're diving into this deep dive today, and you've got these awesome notes
Mm.
about, like, becoming a more patient parent.
Right, and I love it because it shows you're already thinking about these things.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect, thank
Yeah,
goodness.
way.
But, like, how do we keep our cool, even when our little ones are,
Pushing every button.
testing limits?
Exactly. And one of the things, that really jumped out at me from your notes was this idea of listening.
Oh, listening. Always easier said than done.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's like we know intellectually we should listen to our kids, but when you're in the thick of it,
It's tough.
it's tough. And we kind of go into like fix-it mode or
Command mode.
command
Yeah.
mode. Exactly.
They do this. Stop that.
Exactly. So one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit today was this idea of reflective listening,
Reflective listening. Okay.
which is this idea of really, instead of just hearing the words our kids are saying, we're reflecting back the emotions.
Okay, so it's not just, oh, you're fine, stop crying. It's more like, hey, it seems like you're feeling really sad right now.
Exactly.
Got it.
And it's amazing how much that can de-escalate a situation, because a child, especially a younger child, when they're feeling those big feelings, right?
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily have the language for it. So when we can reflect that back to them, it makes them feel seen, it makes them feel heard.
It validates what they're going through, even if we don't get it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And you know what else I thought was interesting from your notes? Was this idea of, like, managing expectations.
Yes.
And I'm totally guilty of this because, I used to think, oh, my toddler can wait an hour for dinner. Right?
Right.
Like, what was I thinking?
Well, and it's so funny because, developmentally, toddlers have a completely different sense of time than we do.
Oh, yeah.
Right. The part of our brains that really understands time doesn't fully develop until like 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, wow.
So you're asking them to wait an eternity.
It's like, just be patient for the next, 3 weeks.
Sad.
While we get dinner ready. Okay. So it's more about kind of breaking things down, meeting them where they're at.
Exactly. Developmentally appropriate chunks.
Okay, I like that. And that actually leads perfectly to another thing you mentioned, which I was really intrigued by. The idea of using games
Yes.
to kind of sneak in this patience training.
Oh, it's like the best sneaky parenting win.
Right. Because kids love games.
What they do.
So if we can make it fun
Yes.
and they're learning something at the same time,
And they don't even realize.
that's like a win-win.
Exactly. It's like we're tricking them into
Right.
being awesome humans.
Like those board games, right? You have to, like, wait your turn.
You have to wait your turn, and you have to like cope with like not winning sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Which even adults struggle with, let's be honest.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so games are good. We're taking notes here.
Games are good.
And then this next one, I'll admit I struggle with this one, the whole self-care thing.
Yes.
It's so easy as a parent to be so focused on our kids and their needs, which of course are important,
Of course, yeah.
but we forget about ourselves.
Yes. It's like the classic put your own oxygen mask on first.
Right, exactly.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
And I love that you brought that up because, parental burnout is real.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's so real.
Yeah.
And when we're burnt out, our patience just flies right out the window.
Out the window.
It's gone.
Yes.
So taking care of ourselves is not selfish.
No.
It's essential.
It's essential.
Okay, so we've got to figure out ways to, like, recharge our batteries.
Yes. 100%. And that goes hand in hand with kind of this idea of being aware of our triggers.
Right.
Like, what are the things that really push our buttons as parents?
With the triggers.
The triggers.
Okay, for me personally, whining
And whining.
at high pitch, but mom, but mom, but mom.
Oh, yeah.
It's instant. Like,
It's like nails on a chalkboard.
yes, exactly.
And, and that's so valuable to know that about yourself.
Okay.
Because when you know that, you can say, okay, that's a trigger for me. What can I do in this moment? Even if it's just like taking a pause,
Yes.
right? Like you mentioned, like taking breaks.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes a timeout is more for me than it is for my kid.
Right.
Like, everybody just give me 5 minutes. I need to, like, go look at a wall. Or do some breathing exercises. Or you mentioned those positive mantras. I love that, too.
Yeah.
Like, having something to tell yourself
Right.
in those moments to kind of shift your mindset a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like changing that internal dialogue.
Okay. And then this last one, I think this is like the heart of it all,
Mhm.
right? This idea of compassion.
Compassion, yes.
And not just for our kids,
right.
who, let's face it, they're still learning. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to push our buttons.
Yes.
But compassion for ourselves, too.
For ourselves, too.
Because we're not perfect. We're going to mess up.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not about being this perfect parent who never loses their patience.
Right.
It's about acknowledging that this is a journey, that we're in it together.
Yes.
And we're going to make mistakes and learn along the way.
So maybe it's less about becoming this patient parent and more about embracing the journey, the ups, the downs.
The messiness of it all.
Yes. And doing it together.
Together.
I like that.